Right. Welcome everybody to Project Hockey. Before we introduce our very special guests that are going to take us through some different hockey skills and just have a nice little Q&A, about 30 minutes here. Before we jump onto that, I would love to chat with everybody in here who's never been a Project Hockey person, who's not a Project Hockey member. If you are a Project Hockey member, drop that in the chat. Let us know where's our members at. I saw Joey in here. Project Hockey members, where you at? Let us know. Cole's here, Project Hockey member. To be a Project Hockey member is very, very special. Let me show you why. I'm going to share my screen. To be a Project Hockey member, you get access to daily at-home training. So every single day, you get hockey IQ lessons that work on that mental side of the game. You get skill set sessions that some of the best coaches in the game is providing for you. You get mindset lessons to work, like I said, on that mental piece. Daily challenges, so that way we're competing and getting better. We have a global community, as you can see in here. We got kids from all over the world. Last I checked, we're in 13 different countries. And so it's very, very special. It's very, very special to be a Project Hockey member. And it's all packaged in this nice little app. And so you download the app, you get daily stick handling workouts, because I know I was that kid back when I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, and I just wanted to get better at hockey. But I just didn't have the answer on how to do that, right? Because I would do awesome stuff at the rink, and then I'd get done at the rink, and I just didn't know what to do, and I just wanted more. And so Project Hockey is that more. And because all of you are on here right now, that are new to us, if you go to projecthockey.com, and I will send this out in an email in a second. Oh, I forgot to turn stop drawing on the screen, people. Join for a free trial since you guys are here with Topline. So again, you go to projecthockey.com, take you through again. Join free trial now. Start your 7-day free trial. You get a 7-day free trial. Quit drawing on the screen, or I'm gonna boot you out of here. You click sign up. Oh, I like the smiley face. And you type in Topline. That's gonna give you 1 month totally for free. So we got 95 people in here. Let's get some people to sign up, use the code Topline, and you're gonna get access to the whole community. You're gonna get access to mindset, hockey IQ lessons from some of the best coaches in the world, full demo videos, daily skill set sessions, challenges, and yes, we have stuff for goalies as well. But without further ado, I'm going to pass this over to the boys from Topline. We got Connor and Justin, both phenomenal hockey players in their own right. They're here today to chat a little bit about hockey in general. We are going to dive into Faceoffs a little bit more, but we are going to dive even deeper into Faceoffs with our members only. Hint, hint. So if you're not a member, make sure you sign up, use that code Topline to get that free month, and we'll dive a little bit deeper here in the next coming weeks. But I'll let these guys take it away. They own one of the coolest training facilities in the Eastern area. I don't want to get anything. Hold on. So sorry, guys. My daughter's here hanging out with us tonight as well. Mom's out of town, so it's just us two tonight. All right. Fellas, you guys can take it away. I think you're unmuted, but welcome to Project Hockey. How you guys doing tonight?
Thanks, Danny. We're excited to be here.
Thanks for having us, guys.
We have a synthetic ice training facility out in New Jersey area, and we work with guys and girls all ages, as young as 5, and we have current NHLers, college guys, national development team players. So we have a full spectrum of players, and something we've implemented into our training program about 2 months ago was a face-off specific class. It's taken a lot of traction from the players who have taken part in it. And then, we were fortunate enough, Danny reached out to us, and now we're able to kind of share the knowledge and give back across the country on face-off tips that I've picked up, Connor's picked up, a lot of things that on the mindset side, which you touched on, face-offs, in my opinion, are at least 50% mental, if not more. It comes down to preparation, and we'll go into some technique and situational stuff. But, Danny, I guess, is it best if we start with a certain, progression? Do you want to have a Q&A to kick things off? Do you want us to run it as if we were doing it in the facility and just kind of see what we can demonstrate here? We have a couple videos we would show as well.
Yeah, I would say the best thing, we're going to end like the last 7 minutes. We'll do a Q&A. So start thinking about your questions. But I would say just run it, take us through. And again, guys and gals, if you're in their area, you need to go check them out. The workout facility alone, I saw it on Instagram, like, I don't know, a year ago, whatever, when I started following you guys, and I was just absolutely blown away. And the stuff that you guys are doing, I take it every single day. I steal it from you guys. I use it with my own clients here in Minnesota. So I appreciate you guys coming on. And when I saw this Faceoff class, I was blown away, because people don't do that, right? And like when we have practices all the time, and as the other coaches are setting up nets or something, I'm having our centers do drops and things like that, and trying to teach them as much as I can. But to have something so specific, just to focus on that is huge. And obviously it's important because we got 99 people in this chat right now that all want to learn about it. And so I would say, yeah, just run it almost like you would. I mean, if you have those videos, you can probably, are they on YouTube?
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen and see if that works. But basically what we would do is we'll set the class up where it's about a 45-minute session. The first 15 or 20 minutes will be a chalk talk, kind of a forum like we're having here. And we'll open up with this video. If I can share my screen. Should be on the bottom, no? Oh, share screen. Okay. Let's go right to here. All right, so this is a video from a couple years back, North Dakota players talking about the importance of face-offs, different techniques that they're using, and then we'll stop and kind of dissect as we go here. Can you guys hear, Dan? All good? Okay.
Start every play. They're a key part of hockey. We're going to be talking about it today with Johnny Simonson and Rhett Gardner, two of the best on the North Dakota hockey team. You boys ready to talk some face-offs? Yeah. Let's go give it a shot. After you. What makes somebody effective in the face-off circle? What are some things that you have to be a solid guy in the dot?
Yeah, I think you got to just kind of own the dot. It's kind of like a swagger thing. Like, you got to get your head in, get your body in, and kind of go into every face-off knowing that you're going to beat the other guy. And then as the night goes on, sometimes you're matching up against a guy, and if you're having a good night, you kind of get in his head and starts to frustrate him.
Hand-eye coordination. Like that, to win. How often?
That was something for me, like own the dot and the, momentum you can pick up as a centerman. Just from winning a few faceoffs early in the game, that was a way for me to kind of realize like I was checked in, I was dialed in. It was a way to kind of get the confidence going early on where, as you climb the ranks as a hockey player, you may find yourself in a situation, whether you're a freshman in high school and you're now the young guy on the totem pole, or you're a freshman in college, or a rookie in pro, or a rookie in junior, and your ice time is cut down. If you're a centerman, or even if you're a winger and you're good enough at faceoffs, you can carve out a really nice chunk of playing time and kind of leash, if you will, from the coaching staff, if they can trust you to be reliable in the dot. So if you can go into the game and be above 50% on faceoffs, and we'll touch on that percentage a little bit later, but if you can be above 50%, and the coach knows that if there's a minute left in the game and, Connor Lean is the best centerman on our team, if he knows Connor can go out and win that draw, and you're up a goal, you're down a goal, you might not have played for 10, 12 minutes. He puts you out there, you suddenly become, the go-to guy in that situation. So it's something that a lot of guys, especially at the younger levels, start to begin to overlook, because it's just, the play begins with a face-off. But for us, or, for me as a centerman, when I was playing, your whole shift is almost dictated by the first, that puck drop. If you win the draw, you have possession. If you want to play forward and you want to score goals, you want to pick up assists, you need to have possession of the puck. Otherwise, you're chasing the puck for 20, 30 seconds and your shift's almost over by the time you even get it. So if you win that draw, that's a great start to your shift, and a great start, to the way you can kind of track your game and basically progress through those different situations. So that's one thing. Own the dot, have a mindset going in. And then as you start to progress into the older levels, you'll start to see lineup charts before the game, and it'll say, the centerman from the other team, if they're a lefty, if they're a righty. So let's say I'm a lefty and I'm going lefty on lefty. I have a totally different setup as a centerman than I would if I'm going lefty on righty. And that depends also if I'm taking a draw on the left side or the right side, in the D zone or not. So just some small things to think about. We'll touch on a few more points these guys have here, and then we'll kind of dive into
the backhand side. This, for example, we call our strong side or backhand side because just the leverage that you have on this side is easier to win.
How often do you have a play drawn up when you're going into the zone like this?
I'd probably say two-thirds of the time, to be honest with you. So more times than not, you have kind of a pretty good idea what you're doing if you win it, what you're doing if you lose it.
We have a lot, probably.
So having a plan is something extremely important as a centerman. And, you know, Connor says this all the time. The centerman is the quarterback on the ice. So just because you're playing center doesn't mean your only job is win the draw. In fact, most faceoffs, if you turn an NHL game on, are won by the wingers or the defenseman coming in on the draw. So if I'm a centerman, I tell my left winger, hey, I'm going to tie him up, meaning I'm going to take his hands out of the play right away, get his stick out of the dot, and lift his stick before the puck even hits the ice. My winger now knows he needs to win his battle, come in, pick that puck up off the draw, or else it becomes another 50-50 puck. Same thing with your defenseman and your goalie. You want to make sure everyone on the ice on your team knows exactly what's going on before you step in the circle. And like you younger guys and girls, you want to make sure your goalie's ready. If you have a face-off in your defensive zone, he might be fixing or she might be fixing her pad. Ref drops the puck because they don't care, and then they get a quick shot on goal, they score, and you know there's no taking that back. You let up a goal, and it kind of falls on you. So before you line up, you want to do a few things, go through a checklist, we like to call it. So you want to check your goalie, you want to check the player's hand, and then you want to check your footing or your feet position. So as much as you can cheat, and this is really the only time in hockey I'll ever say you should cheat and can cheat, is you want to take as much of that dot and as much of that angle with your feet as you can to give yourself the best opportunity to win that draw. And if the ref says fix your feet, you fix your feet, but sometimes they won't. So take it and then make them take it away from you.
4 or 5 face-off plays we'll run in the offensive zone, and then 2 or 3 will run in the D zone, and then we have 1 neutral zone 1. And
What happens if somebody gets kicked out? You got a play drawn up.
yeah,
You get sauced. Does everything just kind of go out the window where you try and press?
no,
forward?
usually we try.
So that's a good point we talk about a lot too, is what happens if you get kicked out of the face-off circle. So there's 90 something people on here. I bet half of you are wingers sometimes, right? You're not all centermen every single game. So just because you're in the lineup as a winger that day, or coach moves you to wing and now you're in a different situation, good chance you're going to take a few face-offs in that game. So it's something that you want to always be practicing. And Coach Danny just spoke about how it's such a scarcity of ice available. And when there is, you have 20, 30 guys on the ice. There's not a lot of opportunity to have a coach or another player drop pucks for you, find someone to go against. So if there's ever a chance, to get ice and you have an extra few minutes, instead of playing shinny or 3-on-3 or doing a shootout, good opportunity there to grab 2 of your buddies. So you have 3 of you, you go maybe best of 5, winner stays in the circle, get creative, have fun with it, make it competitive, and start to train that mindset that being a centerman is mental. And, coaches really do take a look at that more than you think. And it's as important to some coaches as getting an assist, or as if you're a defenseman being plus. Guys make a living in the NHL and in the pro ranks winning faceoffs. So at a young age, if you can start to become a guy or girl that's known to win the draw, it's just another tool in your toolbox. The same way it's nice to have good hands and a good shot and have fast feet and play physical. It's just another thing that can help you separate yourself from the rest of the competition.
Keep the play going. I mean, our wingers do a lot of work on face-offs too.
If this is the face-off, this is an offensive draw. That's net. I'm trying to score. And a lot of times, just to switch it up, I'll like put one of my wingers right here and make it appear that I'm trying to win that puck right to him for a quick shot. So I'll put him there, and they should be like, yeah, okay, I'll, make it seem like that, and then go down, and then push it forward and kind of catch that centerman off guard. Sometimes that can be an effective thing.
So that was one of my favorite kind of like mind games that I would do as a centerman, is like, let's say Connor and I are line mates. You grab your line mate or even a defenseman, and before you come in the circle, hey, Connor, I'm going to win it back. And make it loud enough where the other centerman hears you. Go into the circle. Like basically, if you're going to take the draw and you're acting as if you're going to go backwards, so you have both hands back and you have that leverage stance, like you're going to go back this way with your bottom hand. As you get into that circle and you're ready to go, you look back, your hands leveraged as if you're going back against the grain, looking at the referee's hand, very, very subtly, you want to shift your hand without the centerman knowing, and then you're going to try and go forward. So it's like, hey, Connor, I'm going back. We're going to try and get a quick shot here. Be ready. As you line up, the hand shifts very so slightly, and now you're going to go forward on that face-off. But as important as that, you want to let your winger know that you're going to be doing that. So I'm a lefty. I would want a righty net front. So I would tell him, hey, get back door. And what I would do is, as I'm shifting my hand and the ref drops the puck, it's almost like a tap and a slide across the crease in one motion. And the defenseman standing there flat-footed, not expecting much. He's expecting to just kind of stand there and hold net front. So you have a guy going back door, and you either have an opportunity to take a shot or pass it back door. And I've had, a good amount of assists on that play. And I'm sure Connor the same thing, where, you catch his team sleeping, and it's a great way to get on the score sheet. It's a great way to kind of, really show your skill as a forward and a centerman all in one play, just by kind of playing a mind game on that other centerman. And there's a lot of different tricks you can use. One I used to use all the time was, if I'm lining up in the circle and I can look, it's not a slash, it's not anything malicious. It's really kind of a playful, even just a tap on the guy's foot. So he looks down for a split second and your eyes never leave the referee's hand. It's a tap on the guy's foot. Hey, square up. Or even if it's, you're playing against your friends, like, oh, hey, Danny, are those the new Bauer skates? How do you like them? Right? Doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just enough for him to take his mind out of the play for a half a second and say, yeah, they are. Or look down at them, natural instinct. And now your eye never leaves the ref's hand. His eye leaves it. He looks back up, loses focus, and you're the one winning that faceoff. There's a lot of like chess and trickery that goes into a faceoff that a lot of guys don't realize. And these things, as a young player, you can add into your wheelhouse. You're at a tournament. You line up, hey, did you guys play against the Avalanche yet? I heard their goalie's really good. It's not starting a fight. The ref's not going to yell at you. It's not unsportsmanlike, but they might look back at you and laugh. They might say nothing, but I don't care who you are. That is in your head now, and you're taking your eyes off the referee's hand. So that's something that I used to always do that I found to be, kind of helpful. Something else we touch on a lot in these meetings is zone versus risk. So, we'll get the whiteboard out and, we'll kind of call on guys or girls and say, like, for instance, hey, Connor, you're down 1-0. You're up 1-0. Let's say it's a defensive zone face-off. You're the centerman. You're a lefty going against another lefty. And we kind of almost open it up like an open forum, and we'll say, what are your options? What are you telling your winger? What are you telling your center? There's 45 seconds or a minute left in the game. Go through your options, right? And you want to tell your defensemen and your wingers, everybody wants to be on the net front side. And your only job in that situation is do not lose the draw clean. And as you start to go up in the levels, what a lot of coaches will say is, in the defensive zone, you just can't lose the draw clean. Whereas an offensive zone face-off, let's say it's 0-0, 1 minute left, I might throw the kitchen sink at these guys, line up a winger here, another winger here, have a one-timer defenseman here, and get a quick play for a one-timer and send 2 guys to the net, right? So they're all different plays. There's all different scenarios that you want to think about as you enter the circle. And, there's stuff you can even be doing while you're on the bench. So third period goes by, you've probably seen 40 or 50 faceoffs now, and there's only 3 other centermen on the team. You should start to know, okay, number 19, every faceoff he tries to go forward. Or number 19, every faceoff he's trying to win that puck back to his forehand side, or he's tying up, or he's using his feet, or she's coming in, her head's really high and she's just using her arms, right? You start to pick up on those tendencies the same way you would a goalie in a shootout, or a defenseman's, patterns on his rushes. So becoming a student of the other centermans at an early point in the game will give you an advantage in the third period if you pay attention. So if you're on the bench, instead of looking up in the stands, what's mom and dad doing? How's my other lines playing in comparison to me? This is something that's in your control that you can focus on. Watch the other guy's hands, watch the other girl's hands. How is she lining up? And, you can start to pick up on their tendencies. We touch on all the time, like I said earlier, this is a really good way to earn ice time. Like I said, you could be bottom of the lineup depth chart player, but if you watch NHL games, the third and fourth line, they're out there when they're up a goal with a minute and a half left because they know they're responsible and they're going to try everything they can to win a faceoff. So it's not flashy. We always say it's not going to show up on the score sheet. Now in the NHL, they track your face-off percentage. And that's something you want to think about. So whether your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle, your grandpa, your coach, let's say you take 10 face-offs, you want to aim to be 50% or better. So obviously the math is simple there, but as it gets more and more, you want to have your mom and dad, instead of asking how'd I play, maybe get a little bit more specific and tell them, hey mom, I took 20 face-offs. I won how many? Okay. You know, and they can even get more granular with it and start to say on your backhand side, you're winning everything clean. But on your forehand side, going against a righty, seems like you're getting beat to the puck. So then you can go back, watch your video if you're able to do video, work with your coach, work with your other teammates and say, hey, can you drop me 100 pucks here? I just want to get the timing down. And then you add in a defender component or a offender component where you're going to go against someone and you can work on that motion the same way you would in a game. So it comes naturally. It's practicing the same as you would with a one-timer or a slap shot or a snap shot or your hands. It's muscle memory. And, you know, in the gym in our facility, we do a lot with the gel stick. Actually, you know, I think Danny can touch on that, and it's a weighted stick that I think Danny's on the development side of, and it's a phenomenal training tool. But what we use it for is the same way you would swing a weighted bat and you're kind of working on that torque. We do a lot of exercises that simulate a face-off where you'll strap a band to the blade of your stick and you'll work on winning that draw with the resistance of the band and the resistance of the gel stick, so that that puck drops in a game, it feels light. You're snapping it down. You know, positionally, I think important right away is something I learned in college was you always want to be lower than your other centerman. So if I'm going against Connor and he's a little shorter than me, I need to get down lower, bend my knees more than I would if I'm going against someone head to head, same height as me. You know, you want to have leverage. We talk about owning the dot. You want to be as low as you can, legs wide, knees bent. Power is coming from your legs more so than your arms. And you're developing that rotation, that core power. So all the exercises that you could be doing at home or in a gym to, you know, strengthen your core and your grip. Grip is also huge. Are you doing your wrist curls? Are you doing your plate pinches? Are you doing, you know, the work in the rice bucket to get your fingers and your hands strong? All of these things kind of start to accumulate and you become a stronger centerman over time just by adding these little things into your training.
What if you're in a game and you've taken 5 face-offs against the same center all night, the other team's matching lines, and you just can't beat them. You flat out can't beat them. You've tried all your tricks. You tried to be quicker. You tried to overpower him. And you just can't seem to own the dot. Your confidence is low. Like, how are you bouncing back? I mean, that's a great question. And a lot of times what you see happening is just that. You go 0 for 3 off your first face-offs. And now, like these guys from North Dakota are saying, when you're in that centerman's head, they're in your head. So what I always liked to do when I was playing was go back to the basics and don't lose the draw, just go for the tie. So if I'm going against Connor, my first thought is get his stick, get his bottom hand, get his stick. So instead, you know, you're obviously always watching the referee's hand, and something that I think it was actually John Madden, funny enough, who's probably past a lot of your guys' time, but a Devils centerman. He would say, watch the referee's fingertips because they squeeze the puck hard and it's red. And as it starts to let go to drop, the blood leaves your finger and it turns white. So you're looking at the referee's hand. That's just a small little tip that he would say, but you're looking at his hand. And the second that puck drops, you're going for the player's stick. You're going for the other player's bottom hand, lifting that stick. And that's when it comes to play, telling your winger or your defenseman, I'm tying up. I'm losing every draw on this side. I can't lose another one clean. Come in from both sides, help me out. I'll tie him up. I'll try and kick it one way or the other, maybe get your feet involved. But you always want to take the guy's stick or the girl's stick out of play as quickly as you can if you're struggling early on in the game. You win that draw or you tie that draw, you kind of shift your momentum back and you can build off of that.
And then I would just maybe talk about in depth how important it is that everyone's on the same page, right? Like face-offs, you said, are a full team effort or a full line effort, if you will. So you know, who are your key components? Sometimes it's really loud in a building. You really can't talk to everyone. The game's moving fast.
what are you guys doing? How are you congregating? Who are you talking to? Who's most important to talk to?
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah, I think that's extremely important. And I don't know everybody's club team, and I don't know how your coaches are on the bench or in practice, but normally we would have 2 or 3, maybe 4 set face-off plays going into a game, or maybe even going into a weekend, depending who we're playing. If we're playing against Penn State, I know that they're always going to be tying up. They're sending 2 wingers in every time. So you can think and anticipate that, and maybe start to try and push pucks forward in the D zone and let your wingers kind of beat their wingers. And now you're off on a 3-on-2. But you always want to come off the bench with a plan. So that if that means you're in the guy or girl's ear in their cage before you, if it's a loud rink, you're playing a Dyna versus Mankato in the state championship, the rink's loud, there's 15,000 people there. You might not be able to yell, hey, we're running face-off play X, Y, and Z. So you might need to say to them as you're getting closer to the dot in their ear, hey, this is what we're doing. So you have a plan, and you don't win that draw clean, and your defenseman's nowhere to be found behind you because he thought you were doing face-off 1 and you're doing face-off 3, right? So you want to have a plan. You want everyone on the ice on your team to know that plan. And then you don't want to telegraph it so that the other people on the ice know that plan. So you don't want to say, hey, Connor, I'm winning it back to you, unless you're trying that play we talked about earlier, where it's going to be a forward motion and, an inside slip to the net.
And then lastly, I know you touched on how faceoffs could earn you more ice, but, I'm a guy who hasn't been on the power play at all, or the penalty kill even. But now I'm starting to win every single faceoff. Is that going to earn me more ice? What is the coach thinking? How are my teammates thinking about me taking draws at key parts of the game? Like, what happens there? What does it do for my own confidence?
Yeah, I think for me, my rookie year playing pro, that was a situation I was truly in, where I was getting limited ice time, and then I would get put out for a draw and I would win it clean, make it known I was going to win it clean, tell the defenseman who might have been an 8-year veteran who had NHL experience, hey, I'm going to win this draw. And when you live up to your word and do that, you earn a little trust from the back end. Then you do it again, the coaches notice. You do it again, someone on the bench might say, hey, put out Connor for this face-off because he's going to win the draw, right? So it's all little steps, and you don't really realize it. I see a lot of the faces on here might be 10, 12, 13 years old. And, this might be somewhat high level for some people and think, sure, I get 5 goals a game. I'm the best player on my team. If I win a faceoff, if I lose a faceoff, I'm still going to be first line. But I promise you this, there will be a day, no matter how good you are, where your ice time gets taken away from you. And faceoffs are a definite 100% certain way that you can earn ice time, keep ice time. And on the flip side, it's an easy way to lose ice time. If you're a good centerman and you start slipping on the draw and you're the first line center and you haven't won an opening faceoff, like you started the last 5 games, coach might not start you that next game, or you're losing every draw on the power play and they win it back and they're sending it 200 feet. Your defensemen are going to start to get annoyed. Your wingers are going to start to get annoyed. And, it's just a momentum killer or a momentum builder. And if you can really, it's just a pride thing. It's a preparation thing, and it's a grit, and it's a will, and it's a determination thing to go into that circle and say it's a one-on-one battle. It's like a fencing match or a sword fight. Like, you're going one-on-one for maybe the only opportunity in that entire game where everyone else is standing still, and it's you versus that other player, head to head, literally head to head, eyes over the dot, knees are bent, your stick is down, ready to go, grip is tight, and you're like a slingshot just ready to be released out of a cannon. And know that this puck is getting dropped. I'm not losing this faceoff. I'm winning this faceoff. I'm winning this faceoff. Whether that means doing some visualization, which I think, is touched on the app a little bit with the mindset work, where you 5 minutes before the game, you close your eyes for a second and you just see the puck hitting the ice, winning a draw, winning a draw, winning a draw on my backhand. If you watch an NHL game, you see the goalie sitting there catching pucks, making blocker saves. It's the same thing. You can add that in to your preparation before a game, during your stretches, after your stretches, just where's my hand on my stick? How am I going to win these draws? And it just starts to build up into your game more and more and more.
And then lastly, I know for me, every time I would go into the circle, I would automatically take the offensive. What works best for me? I know that, I have the best way or the best chance of winning this face-off doing this because that's my strong suit. So I don't know if you did the same, but I would go into every draw and try that and try that and try that. And if it's working, I stick with it. If it's not working, that's when I change my mentality. Sometimes I wasn't always focused on what the other guy was doing right away. I wanted to establish a dominance, so I'm going in with what I do best.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how you approached it, or?
I think it's a combination of like a shootout, right? So if you have a breakaway move that is your go-to and you're fresh against a new team, they haven't seen you yet, go with that move. Go with the backhand, strong side, power face off. But if you played the same team 5 times in the last 20 games and you're analyzing your face off percentages and you're looking at the lineup and you're saying, God, every time we play this team, I struggle. Why am I struggling? Is it against a certain guy? Is it something that they're doing? And that's when you start to work backwards. But I agree with you, yes, that if you know you're going to win it on your forehand side, if it's a lefty or a righty, you go and you win it on your forehand side. You shouldn't change your game to suit someone else, but there's definitely something to be said about adapting if you're becoming a student of the game, in a sense that you start to pick up on tendencies from someone else and then you kind of back your way into your draw.
Totally. I think that's how I kind of approached it too, and I think that's what works. So
yeah. And that's kind of it from the back end. And then normally how we'll go forward from there is we'll get guys in the gym, we'll get guys and girls on the glice, and we'll just drop pucks. We'll put scenarios in play where it's, 2-1, I'm against Connor, 10 minutes left in the game, our goalie's pulled. I'll kind of whisper in his ear, what's the play you're running? He'll tell me, I'll ask the other player, what's the play you're running? So we can kind of get an idea and then make corrections on the fly. So, if you're a coach or if you're, interested in doing something like that, there's a million ways to do it. That's kind of how we've been doing it. And that's after practice is a great time. I know a lot of, your Zamboni comes out and you're off the ice right away, but watch NHL games is another really nice way to pick up on some stuff. You could pick 2 centermen and just watch them all game and just write down their face-off percentage, what they did when they won the draw, why'd they lose the draw. And then, like I said, the home workouts are huge. If you can get your grip stronger, your lower back, your core, your arms, all your muscles play a factor into a face-off. If you look at a face-off, the guy's in a squat position, his knees are bent at 90 degrees or more. He's rotating with his core, his stick is gripped with his, his forearms are engaged, his shoulders are engaged, everything is activated. So the stronger you are, with those fast twitch movements, the better you're going to be in the circle. But I think, if you guys want, we'll open it up for some questions, face-off related, hockey related. Connor played at the University of Maine, was a prolific scorer there. And then he played in a couple different NHL organization systems and played in Europe as well. And I played at Michigan and had experience in the pro level. So, we'll answer any questions you guys have. We're happy to kind of be a resource for you. And, obviously just want to thank all of you guys and girls for taking, time out of your school nights to hop on here and learn from us. Danny, how should we run with the questions here?
I think you might be muted, Danny.
Oh wait, he's muted by us. How do we do this?
Maybe click on his. Go back to his.
Hey.
Never mind. I think I'm unmuted now. We got it. You want to stop sharing your screen?
Yes.
And then, do you want to make me back the host?
Yes. How do we do all this?
But so a couple things. One, that was tons. I was muted for a long time there, but everything you were saying, you're hitting it straight on the head. As far as, and Sophie here wants everyone to know that she's a hockey player. So she wants everyone to know that she can learn to skate. But you'll be quiet right now. Okay, we're almost done. But if you do have questions, you guys and girls can start dropping them into the chat here. So start dropping in the chat. We'll take a few questions, and then we'll go from there. But one thing that I want to talk about is like how important, again, faceoffs are. When I was playing for Minnesota State, who just lost to Michigan. I'm not super happy about that, but that's all right. I'll let you have that one. And then, but when I was done playing, I got to stay on as a student assistant coach for a while. And my coach, before every weekend, I had to clip the other team's face-offs. So I had to know, like, if Justin is a right-handed centerman, what he does at this face-off, this face-off, this face-off, this face-off, this face-off, every dot on the rink. And then from there, I had to teach that to our centerman. So our centerman would know every time they went to a dot, okay, I got this guy. It's on this dot. He's going to try and go between my legs. I got to watch out for that. And so the idea of face-offs, like it is something that you need to work on the ice 1,000 times and then 1,000 times more, but it's also something you can do just by watching it and getting better that way. And so a couple of questions. One, how can I train face-offs in my house by myself? That's a great question from Cole. But before you answer that, we're gonna look into doing some face-off class with Topline, where you guys and girls, our members, would be able to join those classes and do face-off specific classes. We're actually using your stick and stuff like that. So again, if you want to be involved in those classes, use the code Topline, get a month free. But what's like one thing that you can do at your house to get better at face-offs?
I think besides like the general working out things that we touched on in the video, something that's easy you can do and it'll just kind of enhance your overall hand-eye is try and learn to juggle. Honestly, the hand-eye coordination, the multiple stimuluses at once you're looking at the ref's hand, but you're also looking at the other player's hand and stick is a nice way to kind of train your eyes for that tracking and also get your hands involved. So that's something you could do on your own.
I've seen guys balance pucks on their heads and kind of drop it and work on timing. So the puck's on your head. Once you lean forward, you're timing it and you're kind of swiping back. That's more for the younger guys, obviously. I think, obviously as you get older, it's a bit different, but it's good for timing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd agree with that. And we're always doing hand-eye stuff. We actually just filmed a ton of content where we're just working with tennis balls, which we're going to start posting the app as well. We do that a lot for our goalies, but we're going to start doing that a lot for our players as well, just because, as you guys know, I'm a firm believer face-offs are top 5 most important thing in the game. All right, let's see. What can I do as a winger? We're going to take like 2 more questions. What can I do as a winger when the puck drops? What can the wingers do?
That's a great question. So, depending what your centerman wants from you is going to dictate that answer. I think as a winger, your number one job is to not get beat to the puck. So if that means you're taking an inside step and Connor and I are lined up against each other and I have to come inside and get shoulder position on him to box him out, that's going to help you win that race. That's huge. But if your centerman's telling you, he's winning it forward and you're, sidestepping that winger, then, your first step might be backwards and then towards the net or out of the zone. So it's really a communication as a winger is your first and sole important thing is to know what's going on. Because if you're tying somebody up, but your centerman's winning it forward, it's kind of a miscommunication there and you're going to lose track.
Yeah. And that's such a good point too. Like the idea that it's what your center wants from you, like the communication aspect. If you don't have a conversation before you get into that circle with your centerman, then you're already at a disadvantage. So I think that's a great point. Like it really depends on what that center wants to do. Who's your favorite NHL centerman? And who do you think, and then maybe they are, but who do you think is the best NHL centerman right now?
Start with the best, probably Patrice Bergeron is obviously a guy that comes to mind every year. He's up in the top, 5. Who's my favorite?
My favorite of all time, and I always say, is John Madden, just because I'm a Michigan guy. He's a Devils player. He's not in the NHL anymore, but he coaches. But he would just win draws. He would earn his ice time on the penalty kill strictly by winning faceoffs. He was gritty. He wasn't the biggest. He wasn't the strongest, but he always was winning draws. I think McDavid does a nice job on faceoffs. He's pretty crafty with what he's doing out there. Malhotra, he's a good centerman. I mean, there's tons and tons of good centermen. It's really just who's like, who's really good on draws. Like in St. Louis, I think Tarasenko and O'Reilly is phenomenal. He's been lights out this year on draws. So it's like getting that confidence and then building off of it. And, you know, you'll see these guys in the NHL levels practicing faceoffs for 45 minutes to an hour after practice, because, you know, that can pay their bills.
For sure. And like I look like a guy like a Penguins guy, Teddy Bluger, who he's a third line centerman right now. And I mean, he just signed a big contract, and a big reason for that is because he can take draws and he can win draws. And like you said, like the Penguins are up, you know, with a minute left by a goal, he's out there because he's trusted to win those draws right now. And obviously it changes throughout the season, but just the idea that there's a lot of money to be made just by learning how to take draws, right? Guys pay their bills by doing that. All right, one more. I want a good one here. There's some good questions about OHL versus college hockey, so maybe we'll have you guys on again and chat about that stuff. Let's see. Let's end with this one. From Brendan, one of our original Project Hockey members. What inspired you guys to play hockey?
For me, it was my grandfather. He had me on skates when I was like 2 years old. He built a little rink in his backyard, and like everyone, I think I fell in love with the game. It's not something that's hard to love, and then as you get better, you just learn to love it more. And for me, like Justin said, he'd like set up little mind games and this and that and pretend you're in certain situations. And, you know, I'd be in my living room at 4 years old, pretending that I was, you know, scoring a goal to win the Stanley Cup. And, you know, from then it went to travel hockey, and it got more serious, and I started getting better and better. And that's it. It just becomes your life.
Yeah. I have like an interesting way about how I got into hockey, but I think the part I love most about hockey is that it's non-traditional, in the sense that, you know, football players, baseball players, soccer players, basketball players all play for their school. And if they're good, they make it to college. And I like the fact that hockey, there's a million different ways to make it to the NHL or college or juniors. But, you know, it's something that you kind of have to take upon yourself. And I always thought that was cool, where I would be in school and I had already skated at 5 a.m. before gym class, and these kids were, you know, complaining about running the mile. We had already skated in the morning. I think hockey players have like a really unique upcoming and upbringing in sports, where, you know, it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of hours to make it to the elite levels. And it's really the only sport where at such a young age you get a title slapped on you as AAA, AA, or, you know, travel or not. And whether that's good or bad, it forces you to compete and, you know, take pride in what you're doing. And it's an expensive sport, and I don't think anyone can disagree with that. So I think when, you know, you see your parents sacrificing what they do to get you to these skates and these workouts, and, you know, now we're seeing it on the other side of it. It really is something that's just, you know, you don't get to pick up a ball and go run around a field. You need ice time, which is expensive, and all these different things. So it's like something that, you know, I think it weeds out the pretenders early on. And if you can, you know, make it to a certain level in hockey, 9 out of 10 times you're going to be friends with those people for a very long time, because the hockey community is a really tight knit and, you know, reliable, respectable. You don't find a lot of hockey players doing the wrong thing, because it's hard to get to those levels by doing that. So that's what I really loved about it the most.
Yeah, and I mean, I would echo all that stuff. I think the hockey world is the best world, and hockey's how I met my wife, and how, I mean, I attribute it to having these awesome kids that I have, and it's done so much for me. And so that's why through Project Hockey, we're just trying to give back as much as we can. And so we'll kind of shoot everyone an email. We'll kind of put a wraps on this for tonight. But there's clearly a ton of interest in Faceoffs. And so if you guys and girls that are on this chat right now, if you're super interested in getting better at Faceoffs and learning and doing some private Zooms and different things like that, shoot me an email and we'll get you guys hooked up and make sure that you guys and girls are taken care of. I'll drop my email. It's just Danny at projecthockey.com. Again, if you want to become a member, there's the link right there. Use the code Topline and you're going to get a free month of Project Hockey. And so we're going to do a ton of different things with Faceoffs and continue to get better at this, because when I'm 70 years old on the couch watching the NHL, I want the NHL to be the best it can be. We do that by developing our youth right now. And so thank you guys for coming on. Thank you to everybody who joined us tonight. I will record this and then I'll post this and give it to you guys and girls, but you're getting a lot of thank yous in the chat. But thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. And then Justin and I both run the Topline hockey account. So if you guys have any questions specific to us, we'd be happy to, we're always checking the DMs and we respond to pretty much everything. So
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We will, anyone that reaches out, we'll put you guys in contact, and then we'll also put that in an email blast that we'll do to everybody. We had obviously over close to 100 people on here tonight. So phenomenal turnout. Take care, boys. And we will, we'll be in touch.
All righty.
What do you say? So do the work.
Have a good.
Yeah, do the work.
Do the work. Have a good night,
Nice.
everyone.